Welcome to the big show.
He could go all the way. Oh, America, are you serious? It is showtime, baby. Here we go. Slam, jam, slam, bam. It's for this. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. Move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. Give it up, go.
Welcome to the big show. Simply
breaks a couple of tackles. Headlock on go! Headlock on go! He could go all the way!
And welcome to Cold War Radio, ladies and gentlemen, live on our home base, WAAR. We are America Radio, your number one source for streaming political and government talk anywhere. Also available on weareamericaradio.com/live. I got to check and see if anybody started to listen over there yet. We're kind of easing that back into production. I'm Hutch Bailey Jr. deep down in the bunker in my Smith & Wesson studio in the city of Pittsburgh, and they are surging trying to get in here. Please follow me on Spreaker, like the Facebook page, facebook.com/Cold War Radio, 2 A's in war, WAAR. You can catch the show on Blueberry, on your Roku. You can listen to the podcast on YouTube. Cold War Radio is an iHeartRadio program. Just look up Cold War Radio. You can listen anywhere in the world, except Canada, I guess. There is a Cold War Radio app that is free at your appropriate app store, and you can always email the program at scrtv@live.com. The Cold War Radio patron hotline is 412-567-2449. Let me get through my monologue, and tonight is the night. Tuesday night is the night you need to call, because Tuesday night I'm in the studio by myself, which isn't a problem, but it makes it a whole lot easier to manage calls, because we haven't completely figured this thing out yet. The website is steelcityresistance.blogspot.com. You can catch a link to the world-class chat room. Rocky, thanks for putting that information out, and to everybody else that helps out in there. It's a lively place to be. It's becoming a a meetup site, so I appreciate that and everybody that's in it. But you got to be on the Spreaker site to get on the chat room. So you can find the link at steelcityresistance.blogspot.com. You can also find associated videos that are associated with the program. We'll have that tonight. I'll show you about that. But you can, if you can, there's a donate button on the right-hand side. But much more important, ladies and gentlemen, there is a button to become a patron. Becoming a patron gives this show life into the future because it's a pledge from you. Whatever you can afford or whatever you think the program's worth, 4 nights a week, because it covers Steel City Resistance on Sundays also. So hit that button and give what you can, if possible. If not, we love you anyway. If you're old school, you can send a letter or whatever to Hutch Bailey Jr. at P.O. Box 96022, P.O. Box 96022, Pittsburgh, PA 15226. We get some interesting things in there, and I thank all of you. I also want to take the time, I don't know where it went, I had it up there a second ago, but I want to recognize the Cold War Radio patrons that are there today because it's part of the rewards program. And I've covered that, but I just want to do it again. I want to thank Deborah P., Sly Knight, Mary Lou, Slippery Rock, Antoinette P., Karen G., Steve G., and I am missing one. What happened? Let me scroll down and find out what's going on. My latest. Steve G. No, there was one more. Let's close that. And let's reopen it because I know there's one more on there. And I am going to, by God, recognize he or she. Cheryl K. is also a patron. Thank you very much. I'm humbled. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Now, the story of the day, and if you'd like to chime in on this, you can call right now, 412-567-2449. Breaking news, Trump fires FBI Director James Comey. And when I tweeted about this, I said that the Clinton Foundation's FBI Director is fired because that's basically what he was. If you look at the history of this guy, he should have never been retained by the Trump administration. But you have to remember that the Justice Department, which runs the FBI, was dramatically understaffed. I mean, this Democrat crime family has slow-walked the appointment of key people just at a horrific rate, and there really wasn't people to administer the Justice Department and the FBI. Now, I think what they should have done, because you're going to get the Nixon analogies and the just ridiculous clown show that Chuck Schumer's already presented, Van Halen's already started to act a fool, and they're going to no matter what. He should have fired the top 3 guys, or at least the top 2, at least the assistant director that was linked with Terry McAuliffe and Hillary Clinton. They should have fired that guy too, because he's going to end up being the acting director. And what's going to happen is you're not going to get another FBI director for a while, because nobody is going to be satisfactory to the clowns in the Democrat Senate. See, the Senate knows, the Democrats know how to fight. The Republicans, I don't think it's so much they don't know how to fight, it's just they're on the Democrat side. I hear all these people making all these analyses of why the Republicans can never get anything done, and it's right in front of your face. They're Democrats. There's only very few Republicans that are truly Republicans and are not Democrats. And you see them lambasted all the time. I mean, the Freedom Caucus comes to mind. Ted Cruz comes to mind. Rand Paul. These people, the people that are vilified, those are the ones that don't want to get along to come along. Go along to get along. They're not the country club Republicans that are only there. You got to remember, they were in the minority from the 50s to the 90s. 40 years. They're still coming out from under that rock, but they had to wash some dishes and do some laundry for Democrats to keep their status in those years. And that's what they did. They were hideous. They weren't even allowed in some of the, I was listening to Rush Limbaugh today, they weren't even allowed into some of the meetings. They were so irrelevant. Well, now Chuck Schumer is irrelevant, and by God, if we had a real Republican Party of men, and when I say men, I mean adults. If we had a Republican Party that knew what was at stake and cared, they would be treating Chuck Schumer like the irrelevant clown that he is. But no, they act like he's a key player in everything. Fox News gives him more time than anybody else. I mean, they were waiting for him like he was the president coming out to announce an invasion after Comey's firing, who incidentally Chuck Schumer called for a couple weeks ago. But that doesn't matter. The media doesn't. Truth is irrelevant at this point. So Comey's gone. I would really like to see somebody like Sheriff Clark or Louis Gohmert or Trey Gowdy or Alan West, somebody who is beyond reproach, to come up and let Schumer tangle with him. Any one of those guys. Let Schumer tangle with him. Because I myself, like the Democrats, will call for a special prosecutor right now. You give me a special, impartial prosecutor, and I don't care. I want to know everybody that colluded with Russia, and a dozen Democrats will go to prison. You want to talk about Russia? Let's talk about Russia. You want to talk about colluding with communists? Yeah, let's do that. Please, let's do that. Because we're 120 days in, and you've been looking for dirt on the Republicans and on Trump for the entire time. And don't misunderstand this. There's private detectives and everything on this, and you didn't find anything because there isn't anything. Well, let's turn the tables. Let's turn the tables and let's look at the Hillary Clinton Foundation. I definitely want a special prosecutor, but it should cover the entire election. And they should call Project Veritas out. You want to keep telling me that Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, but you're going to completely ignore Project Veritas and what they uncovered in the scumbag's own words? And you're going to tell me that there's collusion with Russia and that's important, but the government of Abu Dhabi and whoever else giving millions of dollars to the Clinton Foundation, them robbing Haiti, destroying Colombia's rainforest, selling 20% of the United States uranium to Russia. Yeah, let's have a special prosecutor. But I'm going to tell you one thing, that there should be a hook. We'll have a special prosecutor, but people have to go to prison in the end, no matter who they are. I'll take that bet in a New York minute. Now, Democrat Senator Chris Murphy, who I've never heard of before, came out. He says that he's not seen any definitive evidence of collusion between the Trump 2016 campaign and the Russian government, he told MSNBC today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that's what came out of that clip. But I want you to listen to all of the BS that this man says before that one soundbite comes out. He could have saved us. This clip is 1 minute and 31 seconds long, and it could be 10 seconds. But he tries everything in his smoke and mirrors BS bag, which is what this whole Russia investigation is about. This isn't even newsworthy. There is never any evidence coming out. All this is just it's all a smoke and mirrors show. It's Wizard of Oz, just to keep the story alive, so we don't look at real things. It's infuriating, really. You realize that Hillary Clinton got away so far with the transgressions of the Clinton Foundation. Think about that for a little bit. And the server. She got away with it so far. And we're talking about kabuki theater here that isn't even true. Listen to this guy. Listen to this Moat Murphy.
Even today. Senator Murphy,
Yes, exactly.
It's Willie Geitz. Good to see you this morning. I think the central question in this investigation, that hearing anyway, yesterday was, were there ties between the Trump campaign, direct ties, and Russia? Former DNI Jim Clapper said, look, I can't make that claim. I can't find a straight line of collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. No one has said that on an official level yet. Do you believe there's been collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia from what you know?
So I don't know. We certainly don't have a smoking gun today, but it seems that this story is unfolding only in one direction, right? Every few weeks we get new evidence that suggests that there was more, not less, coordination than we previously.
New evidence? Does anybody in the chat room, did you guys see any new evidence? What new evidence? There has been no evidence from the very beginning, but this guy is sitting there telling he's telling 12 people watching MSNBC. He's telling them that everything is leaning one way, and every couple of weeks we get new evidence.
Thought between the Trump campaign and the Russian government. And, the new element today is that you have a few individuals, Michael Flynn amongst them, who might be in serious legal trouble. And that tends to be when the story comes out, when you have.
And that's new? Michael Flynn having legal worries is new? This is something all this is to do is to make this continue longer. I will leave it alone to the end of the clip.
An individual who is in the inside of something like this, who, in order to get out of personal legal liability, starts to fill in details that weren't previously available. So we have some new wrinkles here that may get us closer to the truth, and we now have congressional investigations that didn't exist 6 months ago or 4 months ago that also might get closer to the truth. I have a feeling that there's a number of additional chapters here that haven't been told, but no, today we don't have that direct, clear evidence of collusion between Trump himself, high levels of the campaign, and the Russian government, but we certainly seem to be getting closer to that moment.
Matt?
Yeah, we're getting closer to that moment, Murphy. Sure are. Real close, man. We're almost there. Give it a break. This is ridiculous. It's a waste of time, is what it is. Now, we talked about the teen who body slammed the 68-year-old woman at the Florida pool party, the mayhem. He turned himself in. I think he's allowed to go out to play basketball and go to school and church, I think. But that's he'll get a slap on the wrist and he'll end up being a serial killer somewhere probably. Along the same lines, there's a black professor at Texas A&M University who answers the question, when is it okay to kill whites? Dr. Tommy Curry. Look him up, Texas A&M. He's probably on Twitter, too. Dr. Tommy Curry is a black associate professor at Texas A&M University. Curry specializes in, wait for it, critical race theory and serves as executive director of Philosophy Born of Struggle. And he talks on a podcast. You can go to the website, steelcityresistance.blogspot.com. And right underneath this episode, you can listen to him on a podcast answering the question, when is it okay to kill white people? So that's always good that we're teaching our children that kind of thing. It's good for the country, good for Texas A&M University. It's unbelievable. I mean, we got to put a stop to this. If you don't talk about it, it's never going to end. 412-567-2449 if you'd like to join me on the program. We're going to talk about Erdogan's crimes against humanity. Turkey bombs Yazidi homeland. This is from the Gatestone Institute and Yüzey Bulut. And this is something that's this is why when I see Donald Trump on the move and in action, and I'm not Bill Mitchell here. I'm not gonna bow down at the altar, but I'll tell you what, it is really nice to see some of the things that he has broken away from the moss-covered Republican Party. He is going to finally support these people. While Yazidis are still suffering from these atrocities, Turkey, evidently still no friend of non-Muslims, has attacked them yet again. Turkish officials say they consider these groups terrorists. The General Staff of the Turkish Armed Forces issued a statement concerning the airstrikes, saying that operations will continue until the terrorists have completely been eliminated. Denying the genocide is not only saying we didn't do it, it's much, much worse. It's declaring murderers as heroes. It's honoring the genocide's perpetrators and saying to the grandchildren of genocide victims, murderers of your grandfathers and grandmothers are our heroes. They did it well. God bless them. If necessary, we would do it again. Istanbul branch of the Human Rights Association commemoration of the 102nd anniversary of the Armenian genocide, April 24th, 2017. Now, this is one of the reasons that I had red flags immediately about General Flynn. Because General Flynn, albeit an intelligence officer, was a member of the Cold War cadre. In other words, he came up like I did. And there's a funny analogy that some of the younger officers use when they talked about, now I'm retired now, but I only retired a couple years ago. But with that, I'll give a shout out to all the good soldiers in Arifjan Camp, Arifjan, Kuwait. Thanks for listening, folks. Send me an email, scrtv@live.com. Let me know what's going on to the extent that you can. But there was a young officer that used to make mock of some of the thinking of the people in General Flynn's class, and my class, I have to admit. He said, yeah, we're just, and some of the guys in the chat room were going to get a kick out of this too. Yeah, we're just in the wood line putting on face paint, waiting on the Russians. That's the way they thought that our mindset was, because really, that was the Cold War mentality. That's what we did. We massed large amounts of troops, put our camouflage on, had our Mop 4, and got in the wood line and waited for the Russians. Lots of, Dan, I was laughing in the chat room. See, he knows what I'm talking about. He knows what time it is. But anyway, Flynn is of that flavor. And I was nervous because being a senior officer at the national level like that, you're looking at NATO and you're looking at Turkey, and the number one thing about Turkey, their number one characteristic is that that they are a member of NATO. And I've watched Turkey, and I know Erdogan's been a fraud from the day one. I argue with people that I know that are college graduates and very successful, and during their college years they visited Turkey, and they think he's the best thing there ever was because he wears Western clothes. And I tell them, hey, this guy's an imam in a suit. He is no Westerner. He's not secular or any of that. That was all a ruse. This guy wants to run the caliphate. He doesn't want Syria to be in Syria. He wants the center of the caliphate to be in Istanbul, which previously was the Christian capital, Constantinople. That's all he wants. And he just adjusted his constitution to make it that he'll be able to do that. So this guy, he's an evil guy. Just a few hours after the commemoration of the 102nd anniversary of the Armenian genocide, Turkish warplanes dropped bombs on the Yazidi homeland of Sinjar, Shingal, on April 25th at around 2 a.m. local time, according to reports from the region. The strikes reportedly killed at least 70 people in the area, with one bomb hitting a Kurdish Peshmerga post in Sinjar, killing at least 5 and severely wounding several more. Yazidis say that they have been subjected to 72 genocidal massacres. The latest genocide committed by ISIS is the 73rd and is still going on. Tens of thousands of Yazidis have been displaced and are refugees in several countries. Hundreds of Yazidi girls and women are still bought, sold, and raped by ISIS terrorists, the same men who murdered their husbands and fathers. While Yazidis are still suffering from these atrocities, Turkey, evidently still no friend of non-Muslims, has attacked them yet again. On August 3rd, 2014, Islamic State terrorists invaded Sinjar, the homeland of the Yazidis in Iraq, and started slaughtering the Yazidis. Many survivors fled up Mount Sinjar. If you're a longtime listener, you remember back in 2014, we reported this. In his speech to the U.S. Congress, Mirza Ismail, founder and chairman of the Yazidi human rights organization International, described the genocide in Sinjar and pled for help. The entire Yazidi population was displaced in less than 1 day. On August 3, 2014, the Yazidi and Chaldo-Assyrian Christians faced this genocide together. Why? Because we are not Muslims, and because our path is the path of peace. For this we are being burned alive, for living as men and women of peace. The Yazidis, a Kurdish-speaking non-Muslim minority, indigenous to northern Mesopotamia, oppose violence. Their faith combines aspects of ancient Mesopotamian religions, including Zoroastrianism. Something like that. That's a word there, ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you. But if you look online and you look at some of the images, these people are, they're into tattoos. A lot of the women are tattooed in their faces. I mean, it's something to look at, really. But Fox News reported on the attack. The Yazidis of Mountain Shingal are terrified. They feel threatened and unsafe. They thought ISIS days were almost done and they can return to their villages and towns. But now they face a bigger problem. Yaqi Hamza, country director for the first new Allied Expeditionary Force, a humanitarian nonprofit delivering medical help to the most vulnerable Yazidis. The strikes hit only the civilian clinic on the Mountain Shingal, Hamza said. The clinic was run by a volunteer, Dr. Kanza, who was selflessly serving displaced Yazidi community on the mountain from day one. Before being bombed, the clinic was a makeshift room with 6 beds and a handful of medications run by a 36-year-old woman the locals lovingly call Hero Dr. Kanza. So you can see that this there's more to this in the at the website. Go to the show notes links at steelcityresistance.blogspot.com. This is Cold War Radio 463. And you can check out the entire article from the Gatestone Institute, a very well-written piece that we just do not have time for unless this is all we want to talk about all night. And maybe we might go there one day. I have to get your input on that. If you'd like to see a show that is singular in its subject matter, I like to jump around a little bit to get as much in there as we can, just because there's so much news that is not being reported or being reported improperly. So let me know at scrtv@live.com. When we come back from the break, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you the good side of this story about the Turks and the Kurds. You're listening to Cold War Radio, live with Hutch Bailey Jr. on We Are America Radio. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. This is Cold War Radio on We Are America Radio, WAAR. President of the United States takes pleasure in presenting the Silver Star Medal to Kevin K. Remington, First Sergeant, United States Army, for gallantry in action against enemy insurgent forces near Al-Ramadi, Iraq, while serving with the 957th Multi-Role Bridge Company, 142nd Combat Heavy Engineer Battalion, 168th Engineer Group, during combat operations in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom on 22 July 2003 in Iraq. First Sergeant Remington's actions displayed undaunted courage. He made the decision to put himself in harm's way to save the life of a comrade. His training and skills are flawless. He simultaneously conducted a rescue mission, first aid, and engaging enemy fire from multiple locations, all while planning the mission's next steps. His leadership is impeccable, with the ability to inspire 4 soldiers in a gun truck to drive through an ambush kill zone 4 separate times to save their fallen comrades. First Sergeant Remington exemplifies the Army's values with his courage, generosity, and selfless service. First Sergeant Remington's humble demeanor is a reflection of a true soldier's soldier. He brings extraordinary credit to the 957th Multi-Role Bridge Company, the 142nd Combat Heavy Engineer Battalion, the North Dakota Army National Guard, and the United States Army. Hometown, Richardson, North Dakota. First Sergeant Remington, top, job well done, and God bless America.
Thank you, everybody. Now, was that a pretty dramatic entrance, in all fairness, right? Made in America, everybody. Made in America.
Resist, we must. We must.
They're all jitty about a shutdown. The tortoise in the race, then co-author of Hubris. U2 lead singer Bono, Fran Drescher, Sigourney Weaver, suspect Jahar Tsarnaev, Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh, the show Rush Lombard hosts Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor. Is Mike Muckery yesterday, Antonin Scalia, Kim Kardashian, and the Republican candidates, both Cairo and Benghazi. We rank behind Lavita. First stop, Kazakhstan to college students in Beijing. He's getting lunch at Chipotle in Iowa. Bain is appropriate. The GOP's tax day giveaway to millionaires. Why was traffic problems email sent? The Environmental Projection Agency. And what sequestration has done.
That brother is stupid. Man, welcome back to Cold War Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, that dude is dumb. He is dumb. Anybody that listens to him is, whatever. Now, let's talk about the good news. 412-567-2449. I heard a lot of woofing in the chat room. Dial it up. My East German woman she's on the clock. She's good looking too, but you'll never see her. But she's on the clock. Give her a call. Trump's decision to arm the Kurds, finally, ladies and gentlemen, is sure to anger key NATO ally. This is from the Daily Caller and Russ Reed, the Pentagon foreign policy reporter. President Donald Trump authorized the Department of Defense to arm Syrian Kurds in the fight against the Islamic State on Monday, a decision which is likely to anger Turkey, another key ally in the fight. Kurdish forces within the Syrian Democratic Forces will now have access to U.S. weaponry in addition to ongoing air support. Turkey has expressed concerns over arming the Kurdish People's Protection Units, commonly referred to as the YPG, due to their connections to the Kurdistan Workers' Party, a Marxist group designated as a terrorist group by both the U.S. and Turkey. But the Pentagon defended Trump's decision, claiming the SDF are the only ground force available that is capable of retaking Raqqa, ISIS' de facto capital. Now, I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I've talked to some Kurds, some very influential Kurds, and they'll tell you right away that they don't want U.S. troops or anything like that. They don't have a strong manufacturing base. They don't even have a country. You know, if you look at Syria, Iran, Iraq, Turkey, you know, they occupy areas in their borders. What we need to do, one of the things that could really stabilize the Middle East is to push for a Kurdistan. You know, and what they need is airplanes. You know, these guys, I'll tell you, if ever there was an ally that we need, and understand that this would be something that would be mayhem on the diplomatic front. I mean, with all the oil money in the Arab states, this would be quite a fight. But I'll tell you, I think it would be one worth fighting to finally have somebody over there that could have Israel's back, for one thing, might equal up the balance of power. I mean, when you look at a map of the Middle East, you become an instant believer in divine intervention. When you look at the size of Israel and where it is, I mean, they could literally be pushed into the sea. But they're just so superior on so many levels that they've been able to maintain sovereignty, and with no help from the Democrat Party, I'll add, or Europe, for that matter. A lot of now saying Europe, that's a broad painting of the brush. That's not fair. But really, it's something that it's amazing that they've been able to maintain for so long, and it's you have to chalk it up to divine intervention. And I'm just I'm glad to see this is one of the things that Donald Trump's done that really gives me faith in humanity. I mean, conservative movement be damned. You know, they didn't do anything. What have they done? They've done absolutely nothing except for talk. I'm totally dismissed National Review Online and the whole idea that these Republicans in Congress are anything other than lackeys for the big club, for the United States Chamber of Commerce. It's becoming so apparent that they are the Whigs. And it'll become even more apparent, and I'll probably lose more listeners for saying this, but you know what? This show's about the truth. Wait till you see the product that comes out of the Senate, if any product even comes out. Because it's going to take the watered-down government health provider program, it's not an insurance program, that came out of the House, and it's going to water it down even worse. They've already said it. Snow's already said it. When they tell you why is it going to take them a month or two? You know why? To get closer to the election. They're all bought and paid for. This is such an opportunity for the American electorate to see how phony your government has become. You got to pray for Donald Trump, but then you see Jared Kushner and Trudeau linking up and saving NAFTA. You know, now, anybody that lives in the Rust Belt like I do, and not just here, but other places too, I mean, you can drive around and see abandoned factories, abandoned tire factories, abandoned car factories, steel mills. I mean, where do you think all that stuff went? What did Ross Perot say? Listen for this sucking sound as all the jobs go south and north and east and west. The steel mills went to Japan first. Now they're going to China that has no natural resources. I don't know how they don't, but I mean, they come in here with the big ships, the big cargo ships come in here and unload everything to fill up Kmart and Walmart's shelves, and they leave full of scrap metal to take home and melt down for structural steel. top Honduran official predicts exodus after Texas enacts anti-sanctuary city law. Imagine that, ladies and gentlemen, it's working. From the Daily Caller, Alex Pfeiffer. Honduras deputy foreign minister is preparing for an exodus of Hondurans from Texas after the state outlawed sanctuary cities. Completing this poll, I can't believe I left that in there. Texas Governor Greg Abbott signed Senate Bill 4 into law on Sunday night, which calls for criminal penalties for sheriffs and police chiefs whose agencies refuse to comply with federal immigration detainers. Travis County, home to Austin, has refused to comply with dozens of immigration detainers, including those for immigrants accused of sexual assault. Can we start putting some of these people in jail? Governor Abbott, why are these people allowed to serve? I've had it with these people. You know, Republicans complied with every legal measure the Obama administration rammed down our throats. These people need to also. We're coming to a crisis. We are. A Pew report found that nearly 120,000 Hondurans lived in Texas in 2013. And Andrea Matamoros, Honduras deputy foreign minister, told Proceso Digital Monday that her country will take the 4 months before SB 4 goes into effect to take steps to protect immigrants who could face deportation. Matamoros said in the interview that she predicts that many Hondurans will flee Texas to other states with more relaxed immigration laws. And then there's a picture from Mesa, Arizona, from back in February, and it shows a Honduran immigration detainee boards a deportation flight to San Pedro Sula, Honduras. I've been there. On February 28th, 2013 in Mesa, Arizona. Why are they? This isn't even relevant. But anyway, you get the point. You know, this is in effect. It's working. And, of course, it's not reported anywhere except for here and on the Daily Caller. Thank you to the Daily Caller and all the rest of our sources for allowing us to put this material out. From the Gateway Pundit, this is something that needs to be prosecuted as well. I want you to listen to this. And this is the direct result of the Democrat Party and their shenanigans and the Democrat media, who Rush Limbaugh thinks is actually the ones in charge. Rush Limbaugh has done a turnaround, and he doesn't think that the Democrats are running the show anymore. He thinks that the media is running the show, and the Democrats are just doing the bidding of the media. I kind of believe it. But listen to the results of Barack Obama, John Kerry, and the media, and who else was involved in the Iranian deal. There was somebody else that was involved in this. I can't remember right now, but from the Gateway Pundit, Jewish News, Iran gave terrorist group Hezbollah $400 million in cash received from Obama. This is from Jim Hoft and a guest post by Joe Hoft. The last 3 Democrat presidents have been terrible for the United States and great for Iran, and I'd say the last Republican president was also terrible. Jimmy Carter allowed the overthrow of the Iranian government in 1979 by holding the Iranian army back from launching a military coup. Carter's mismanagement ultimately led to Iran's terrorist state, which is responsible for thousands of murders and terrorist actions since coming to power, and I will also say, also responsible for thousands of American military deaths and injuries. Bill Clinton attacked Iraq, Iran's enemy. Clinton may not have bombed Iraq to help Iran as much as to change the news headlines in the U.S. He ironically found it good timing to bomb Iraq just as it was uncovered that White House intern Monica Lewinsky had a dress that could prove his lying in a scandal that eventually led to his impeachment and disbarment. Clinton's bombing of Iraq, sometimes referred to as Monica's War, helped Iran, the enemy of Iraq. But Barack Obama is the worst. Shortly after his inauguration, Obama pulled troops out of Iraq. In doing this, he handed Iraq over to the very entity that was responsible for the deaths of 500 American soldiers in Iraq, Iran. Next, Obama and his secretaries of state, Hillary Clinton and John Kerry, began building a platform for holding negotiations with Iran. Hillary is referred to as the groundskeeper who made the deal possible. Kerry and Obama next stepped in to close the deal. As explained in Obama Bomb, a dangerous and growing national security fraud, the nuclear deal with Iran and the top Obama administration's defense of it are rife with deceptions and outright lies, the media included. False narratives were provided by the Obama administration to the press to praise the terrible deal that involved the Obama administration providing $150 billion in sanctions relief to Iran after Iran complied with certain requirements. Verification of Iran complying with the deal and not working on gaining nuclear bomb capabilities were not in place of the deal, and Obama may have broken the law in ensuring the deal's execution. Months after it occurred, news broke that the Obama administration secretly sent $400 million in cash equivalents on an unmarked cargo plane to Iran on January 17th, 2016, to facilitate a swap that day of 4 innocent Americans held by Iran. 7 Iranian criminals held by the U.S. were also released. Obama said that it was not a ransom for the release of prisoners, but later the State Department admitted that it was. Another $1.3 billion was later reported as also being provided to Iran. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in a real country that's not run by phony politicians and phony law enforcement, wouldn't that get you executed? I mean, think about it. They are directly funding the killing of us and Israelis. I mean, for this to be allowed to occur, think about the administration. Who is the de facto president? We all know. Valerie Jarrett. Valerie Jarrett, born in Iran. John Kerry, who snatched a guy's wife as soon as he died. Body wasn't even cold yet. He goes to Teresa Hines and marries her, and now he's a kept man. And guess what his daughter did? Married an Iranian. So she probably is wearing a hijab somewhere. I mean, our media is dead. Why isn't anybody following up on any of this? I'll give you another one. Jim Kallstrom, special agent FBI, retired from New York. He's now a Fox News contributor. This is the guy that covered up TWA Flight 800 being shot down in New York by a Stinger missile or 2 for the CIA. Now, I'm probably going to get killed for saying that, but I mean, you'll read Jack Cashill on the American Thinker. There's 10 articles about it with testimony. And now he's a Fox News contributor. Fox News continues to bring Karl Rove on for analysis. Why would anybody listen to Karl Rove about anything? They bring him on for analysis. It's so many things, ladies and gentlemen. And just quickly on the end of this thing, I want to bring to your attention. I think this might be a good news story from the American Thinker by Thomas Lifson. Sinclair's high-stakes gamble to reshape television news. Beleaguered conservatives reeling, like myself, from the turmoil at Fox News have at least a glimmer of hope that a second national conservative news outlet could result from a huge merger announced yesterday. Sinclair Broadcast Group, owners of 173 terrestrial television stations in 81 markets, will be acquiring Tribune Media, which owns 42 stations, reaching 24% of the American public, including outlets in New York, LA, Chicago, as well as a cable channel, WGN America. I think that's out of Chicago, too. I think that's where I used to watch the Cubs. Combined, the two station groups would reach 70% of the American public, according to Jennifer Saba of the New York Times, unless the FCC requires divestitures. So that's something to check out. That could be something that's worthy of paying attention to. So we will do that. And with that, I will say you guys got to start calling me, man, especially on Tuesday. Too late now. But I will be back on Thursday night with Stacey Rush. And I'm not sure how those calls are going to go. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for listening live and for participating in the chat room. And also for all the people that are listening to the podcast and however else, if you listen to it on YouTube, that's good too. Conference is coming up in June. I've been asked to go with the Wayne Dupree Show to the Federation of Americans for Immigration Reform in D.C. So we'll be doing a bunch of radio from down there. That'll be exciting. Stay tuned for the Wayne Dupree program. Coming up next, I'll be on there. And I'm Hutch Bailey Jr. on Facebook, Berg's Eye View on Twitter. Thanks for letting me into your life for about 55 minutes. The original Cold War Radio outro. God bless.